In the history of Eurovision, we have seen some of the greatest live performances of all time. And we've seen many that are some of the worst. So today, we're going to explore the most awful performances from the contest in the 21st century. Initially, I was just going to focus on the top 10, but that would leave out some absolute gems. So yeah, we're gonna do the top 15 today. And get excited, grab your earplugs, because for context, these 15 were so dang awful that even Embers is too good to make this list. Oh yeah, we're destroying eardrums today. Before we get into it, covering the Eurovision Song Contest over the past 5 years has been an absolute dream. But the ultimate dream would be making this into a full-time gig. So if you like these videos and you want to see more of them coming your way, your support truly means everything. So please do not hesitate to smash the like button, turn on the notification bell, that's a biggie, and most importantly, subscribe to help me cover more content like this more often. Let's get into it. In 2010, the UK was riding a high after cracking the top 5 the year before with Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber and Jade Ewan. But as we know with the good old UK, when they finally get it right one year, they come back the next year to show us that they've learned absolutely nothing from their successes the previous. Like 2022, Sam Ryder came second, then Mae Muller came second last. In 2010, the UK thought that it would be a brilliant idea to pick a song from a British songwriting team with 13 UK #1 hits. Sounds good, no? The only problem was that these hits were all released before 1991, and when you listen to their song from 2010, it shows. The song sounded like it was taken straight from a TV show theme song from 1982, and the song was called That Sounds Good to Me. That sounds good to me. The only thing was that it didn't sound good to any of us. It didn't even sound good to one of the producers, who reportedly suspected that the song would absolutely bomb. Also, the song is called That Sounds Good to Me. There is nothing more awkward than when the song itself contradicts its own title. The UK hosted a national final where the song was performed by 3 different artists, because who doesn't love hearing a horrendous song sung multiple times one after another? One girl just completely forgot the lyrics at one point. And how can we blame her? The lyrics are so forgettable. I mean, the literal chorus, the part of the song that should have been the best part, the lyrics were, "So if you bring the sunshine, I'll bring the good times, just add your laughter, it's happy ever after. I don't know about you, but that sounds good to me." At Eurovision, Josh is a selling point of this performance. His voice isn't good or bad, it's like fine, but it's really the song itself that is a disaster. But worst of all are the backing, I don't even want to call them singers, they are backing humans. Roll the tape. Like, I mean, when it comes to the spectrum of backing vocalists at Eurovision, you have the mamas on one end. And then you have these girls, which I'm sure they're lovely, but I'm gonna refer to them as the train wrecks. Going forward, when something sounds awful, I'm no longer using that expression, "Oh my god, that sounds like nails on a chalkboard." I'm just gonna say, "Oh my god, that sounds like Josh DeBoovie's background vocals from Eurovision 2010. That sounds bad to me." The betting sites put the odds for this to win at 125 to 1, which was the lowest ever given to a UK entry. And to no one's surprise, the betting odds were right, because the song came dead last with just 10 points. In my opinion, if you ask me, the UK deserved to be disqualified indefinitely after this performance, because this didn't sound good to me. Nothing prepared me for what would come out of this man's mouth when he started singing. The lead singer's voice is an acquired taste. He sings in this falsetto register mostly, and it's kind of got this Adam Levine, Michael Jackson, James Blunt kind of vibe. But to pull off a vocal like that live, I mean, the pitch has to be so on point, or else it stands out like a sore thumb. And unfortunately for him, it stood out like a sore, bloodied, pussy, hairy, infected, and moldy thumb. The UK commentators couldn't even hold it in, cracking up at the performance, and they even said before it, "We are warning you of a jump scare with this one." Sadly, they were right. At some moments it sounds great. It sounds like a beat up version of Mickey Mouse fighting for his life to sing and represent his country of Azerbaijan. staging had its moments, but the vocals at some times were some of the worst we have ever seen in the 21st century, and it's likely why Azerbaijan got their worst result in history with this one, coming dead last with only 7 points. In 2002, the Ketchup song was Europe's best-selling single by a landslide. And when the band showed up to represent Spain at Eurovision in 2006, we finally understood why they disappeared in 2002 in the first place. First of all, the girls were expected to do their choreography on office chairs that looked so cheap that even IKEA wouldn't sell them. The choreography was also so lackluster that it felt like something your mom would be taught at a local dance studio. Sorry mom, I love you. Then we have the 2 interpretive dancers squirming around on stage like worms that had just had their heads cut off. I mean, what is actually going on here? Their voices are also all over the place. They don't blend well. They're completely flat. Tutti free! It's a mess. And finally, the production of the song also sounds like elevator music. At best, it's so generic, it is so basic, it is so lifeless. You know what? I think comparing it to elevator music on second thought is probably offensive to elevator music. Another complete disaster. 9/11 happened in 2001, but I think nothing bombed quite as hard that year than Eurovision's reputation when Estonia won. I will give them credit though for breaking historical milestones. You know, you have the first black winner, first ex-Soviet win, first extremely song to win the contest. There are major achievements. I know, I have a lot of guts for making a Eurovision winner appear on this list, but look me in the eyes and tell me that this doesn't sound like a cruise ship performance. Look me in the eyes and tell me that right now to my face, because it does. Although the song requires the level of vocal talent needed to sing a William Hung song,
she bangs, oh baby, when she moves, she moves.
Their voices aren't bad, but they're doing this cringy call and response thing.
Every night's a Friday night, what night? 2 of us will sing again, 2 of us together again. Roll the carpet from the floor, carpet from the floor, yeah.
Which makes me, it makes me feel an unhealthy level of secondhand embarrassment. And I know this was 25 years ago, but then you factor in those dance moves and I don't know if age is an excuse for what my eyes were witnessing. This remains the only winning song that is not available on any streaming platform, and for good reason. I'm gonna get banned from ever entering Estonia, but this is truly a show of a performance. It's an absolute disaster, and I have nothing more to say. It is the worst Eurovision winner of all time and one of the worst songs in Eurovision history. I don't want to talk more. Just play some clip. It's nearly impossible for a country to get 0 points in a Eurovision semifinal, but with this next act, it happened. 2023, Romania's act was riddled with more drama and confusion than perhaps any other entry on this list, so let's dive in. Now, any conversation surrounding this entry online involves people trashing the Romanian broadcaster for letting this performance be the absolute show that it was, getting Romania's worst result ever. And a lot of that backlash has come as a result of the singer, Theodore, being extremely vocal about the Romanian broadcaster TVR, micromanaging his staging and production, stripping him of any creative control. They even refused to fund his music video, so Theodore made one himself, only for TVR to allegedly ban him from releasing it and threatening him and his family when they tried. Theodore has gone on record saying that TVR tried to sabotage him as they rejected his staging ideas and forced him even to use a slower revamped version of his song that was very uncomfortable for him to perform with. Now personally, that stripped down opening where he just sings with his voice and a guitar, that's my favorite part of the performance. It showcases his talent, his incredible range, a unique tone, beautiful control and agility, and most of all, it stands out on the Eurovision stage because we really never hear many performances that are just a voice in one instrument. But the transition from that part to then the cheap, bare bones production that follows is disjointed and feels extremely underwhelming. Then mix in the backing vocals doing this annoying call and response thing. The creepy LED floor graphics of a woman floating in lava, that glittery figure that just runs on stage and then paints black on his bare chest with her hands. And don't get me started on the camera angles. The close-ups were so unflattering. They gave a glare on his glasses, so half the time you couldn't even see his eyes and connect with him. I mean, I wear glasses 24/7, not 24/7. The only time where I don't wear glasses is when I'm doing these videos because I don't want the glare happening. You gotta connect with me. But I don't know what he was thinking, what TVR, I don't know whose decision it was, but give the man contacts or just have further back camera. Like, why are we so close? And if Romania ever comes back to Eurovision, here's to hoping that they will listen more to their artists going forward. On this list, most of the acts didn't even qualify for the final, but this next one is one of 2 gems that somehow managed to crack the top 5 in the contest. Let's time travel back to Russia's performance in 2003. With Tattoo representing them. The year prior, Tattoo was at the height of their careers after releasing All the Things She Said, which was one of the best-selling songs in Europe that year, and even internationally, it dominated charts. I was 7 at the time. I live also all the way in Canada, and you could not escape this bop.
Hello, Drew.
As a result, when they put their hat in the ring to represent Russia the following year, they were at the top of the betting odds with tons and tons of momentum behind them. I mean, they were literally the most successful Russian group of all time. They are the most successful Russian group of all time. But during rehearsals in Riga, that momentum gradually began to erode as they reportedly showed up late to rehearsals. Sometimes even just one of them showed up, so when they both appeared on stage together during the show itself, it even surprised some commentators. They also threatened to perform naked and confidently rolled up on stage in ripped jeans and white t-shirts with the number 1 on them, insinuating that they would be the eventual winners. But number 1 is ironically the exact place they didn't come in, much to their own surprise. However, it is worth noting that they did win the Barbara Dex Award, which is an award given to the worst dressed at Eurovision. Instead, the girls came in 3rd place and they were just 3 points away from victory, which is obscene given the vocal train wreck that was on full display. Lena's voice was shaky and Yulia's was just as flat as a cartoon character getting rolled over by a car, and her voice was already the subject of tabloids for being strained non-stop from non-stop touring.
But they're called Lena and Yulia has yet to sing. She hasn't sung at any rehearsals because I think she got a bad throat. Anyway, they've kicked up a bit of a fuss since they've arrived here. They arrived late, they caused trouble in the canteen, they stamped their tiny little feet, but I still have a sneaking regard for this. The Russian entries.
The performance was also giving 0 effort. They held hands, they shuffled around on stage, and they didn't even really make out, which, you know, that was kind of what they were known for at the time. The bad attitude mixed in with the underwhelming and poor performance resulted in boos from the audience in Riga, the first time live boos were audible from a Eurovision performance ever. And trust me, they were not the only Russian act to be booed at Eurovision since. In 2012, a Eurovision legend was born, and no, I'm not talking about Loreen. I'm talking about the one, the only Valentina Moneta. Her 2012 performance was so transformative, so mesmerizing and monumental in human history that she continued to represent her country on 3 other occasions. Now, what is this song? The song is titled The Social Network Song and focuses in on Facebook. Because nothing cheers up a continent more than a song dedicated to a social media platform. The only problem is that the song was written by Ralph Siegel, who, let's be honest, has no fucking idea how Facebook, let alone the internet, works. The chorus included lyrics like, do you want to be more than just a friend? Do you want to play cyber sex again? If you want to come to my house, then click me with your mouse. I'm not joking, these are the lyrics. And then don't forget the Shakespeare level poetry in the verses with lyrics like, do you really like politics? Want to talk about dirty tricks? Are you really a sex machine or just a beauty queen? What? And then for no reason at all, the staging includes backing vocalists dressed up as a cheerleader, a rocker chick, a doctor, a pilot, and a photographer. And no, there is no choreography. They are just swaying in motion to the music for 3 minutes. Everything about this is a 0 out of 10, I have to be honest, except Valentina. She's tasked with the impossible mission of trying to sell a dumpster fire to Europe, but she does it in the most convincing way possible, with stellar vocals, unparalleled charisma, and a smile to light up the continent. In 2018, Russia failed to qualify for the first time ever since their debut in 1994. They finished 15th in their semifinal, shocking not only because Russia was a powerhouse at the time in the competition, but also because the Russian diaspora is the largest in Europe. Normally, that diaspora cushion really meant that even when Russia sent bad songs into Eurovision, they'd still sneak into the final and land somewhere around like 16th. The fact that they didn't even come close to qualifying in 2018 suggests that even Russian expats weren't motivated enough to vote for this. Now, we'll get into the song itself in a minute, but first I need to address the elephant in the room. Why Yulia Samilova was selected in the first place. The year prior, Eurovision was hosted in Ukraine, and Russia chose Yulia, which many saw as a politically strategic move. They felt that Russia saw an opportunity to send a wheelchair-bound singer into a country that they had just literally invaded and partially annexed a few years earlier, not as a celebration of necessarily musical talent and outright inclusion, but as a sympathy ploy to distract, make them look innocent, and wash the blood off of their hands. Yulia even acknowledged this point in a later interview.
Ну, скорее всего, но опять-таки это мое мнение, исходя из моих наблюдений, из каких-то вот фраз, услышанных в нашей команде, то, что мы не едем за победой, то есть это было сказано не раз, и было, конечно, досадно об этом все слушать.
Ukraine, however, banned Yulia from entering the contest since she had traveled from Russia to Crimea in 2015 to perform, something that Russia knew was illegal under Ukrainian law after Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea. The EBU tried to find compromises, suggesting that Yulia could perform remotely via satellite or that Russia could maybe send a different act, but Russia's broadcaster refused both, pulled out of the contest entirely, and even refused to air the broadcast of the competition that year. When Yulia couldn't perform in 2017, Russia brought her back in 2018. Fully aware that the headlines would now be about this banned wheelchair-bound singer that Ukraine would not let compete, finally getting her chance once again, making Ukraine look like the bad guys. The only thing was the cracks in Russia's sympathy tactics started to show when she was forced to perform the song live during pre-shows. At which point, the world realized Yulia was never musically on the same level as the powerhouse vocalists the country typically sent with their massive stagings, and instead, they propped her up at the exact moment Ukraine was hosting the competition, turning her into nothing more than a sympathy pawn and essentially a propaganda tool. What made that even more obvious is that they didn't even let her sing parts of the song, and instead, they made the backing singers become the lead singers. Basically letting them sing the more vocally ambitious parts. To make matters even more messy, it's also worth noting that Yulia doesn't speak a lick of English, yet the full song was written in English. So interpreting the words in the verse, especially with her accent, is nearly impossible. Yulia knew things went as bad as they could have, and she talked about it openly later on. Some acts on this list are really funny to talk about, while others like this one are just all around tragic. And yeah, this for me goes down not in history as one of the worst performances once again of the last 25 years, but of all time in Eurovision. This next act is one of the few Eurovision performances in history that got booed before they even began to sing. In 2008, Ireland was a far cry away from their heydays in the contest when they were clinching win after win after win in the 90s. The decade prior, Ireland won 4 times, but in the 2000s, they came 21st, 22nd, they failed to qualify one year for the finals, and they even came dead last in 2007. So cut to 2008, Ireland got this brilliant idea to turn their luck around the following year by sending a turkey and a shopping cart to Eurovision. Yes, I said turkey. And they had that turkey plead with Europe to give him votes in an act of absolute desperation because of how poorly they were doing in the contest at the time. The song at the end gets so desperate that the puppet just decides to shout out the names of dozens of countries in the competition.
Estonia, Slovenia, Slovakia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Herzegovina! And don't forget the Swiss! Cheers! Did we win?
Probably in the hopes of getting like the lowest IQ viewers to just go, oh my god, did that Irish turkey just say my country's name? Let's vote for him. Thankfully, most of Europe was intelligent enough to see through this mammal manipulation and not send this through to the final. There wasn't singing there was just a puppet squawking. And even in a competition like Eurovision, which loves camp, this was camp without charm or innovation that we've seen from like Verka Serduchka or Karya. As a result, this turkey became a symbol of national shame to many Irish at the time. Still is. And many of them probably would have paid good money to roast this turkey and eat it for dinner so that it could never be heard again. In 2015, Finland broke records by sending the shortest song in Eurovision history, the first punk genre entry, and the first act made up entirely of performers with developmental disabilities. At just 1 minute and 27 seconds, the song was too short to build any momentum, highly repetitive, the delivery was all over the place, and the lyrics were some of the least imaginative the contest has ever seen. When translated, the song is titled I Always Have To and is a protest anthem about the frustration of everyday chores. For example, the lyrics read, I always have to clean, I always have to wash, I always have to go to work, I always have to eat, I can't go out, I can't go to my friend's place, I can't go anywhere, there's nothing fun. Well, fuck, I'm depressed. Nevertheless, I always appreciate when countries give visibility to those who are often excluded from these spaces. I mean, Shalva Band is to date my favorite interval act in the history of the Eurovision Song Contest. If you don't know that performance, watch it, you'll cry like a babbling brook. But although I appreciate the representation, I can't pretend that Finland in 2015 gave a decent performance. Because for me, it was 1 minute and 27 seconds too long. Side note though, if the voting system that we have today was actually used in 2015, this song would have actually qualified for the final because it actually came 10th in the televote. Fun fact. Now let's talk about our lovely Macedonian Spice Girls who couldn't find the right key for 3 minutes straight. The band name is XXL, and extra extra large is exactly how big my love for this competition is after watching this gem of a performance. The glorious Powerpuff Girls color palette, the Go Girl Give Us Nothing energy when it came to the choreography, the vocals that wandered through every damn key except the correct one, all while showcasing zero talent whatsoever, is beyond inspiring to me. But most inspiring of all is that these absolute divas made it into the Macedonian national final when 168 other songs were submitted, won the national final by an absolute landslide, beating out the country's biggest stars and finishing ahead of 9 other countries at Eurovision. When I'm a father one day and my kids are struggling through school or relationships or life and tells me, Daddy, I can't do it, I cannot do it, I'm just gonna use these queens as an example that anything is possible when you believe. I mean, for God's sakes, this result was the country's best placing, their best placing at the time. This is precisely the kind of train wreck that reminds you why juries now exist in Eurovision, because y'all cannot be trusted. This not only deserved last place, it deserved negative points, and the English at the end that I love you 100%, yes I do.
I love you 100%, yes I do.
It's so, I'm gonna get grilled for being offended. Listen, they could speak more languages than I can, but that accent, if you just sing in Macedonian. Spain 2017. I mean, what can I say aside from need I say more? Let's move on to the next song. Just kidding, let's dissect this and relive the trauma. So to start, lyrics have never been more gross at the Eurovision Song Contest. The title of the song is Do It For Your Lover, and I don't want to make assumptions about what it means, but I think they're literally talking about it. I mean, the LED graphic literally shows the classic Volkswagen love bus bouncing in motion to fornication, so yeah, safe to assume we're talking about coitus. Also, yes, I'm using words like fornication and coitus because A, I think they're funnier, and B, I don't want YouTube policies or whatever to get me in trouble for using the F word in this type of context when we're actually talking about, yeah, you know, never mind. The lyrics sound like a desperate plea of an immature man-child who's pressuring his partner to take it past second base. Do it for your lover, do it for your lover.
Do it for your lover, do it for your lover, baby.
Just do it, just do it.
Just do it, just do it, just do it for your lover.
I'm deeply uncomfortable and highly unsettled with these lyrics. Then mix in the classic international hand sign for I'm a douchebag, followed by that smile he makes before that note, which still haunts me in my dreams.
Just do it for your lover. Do it for your lover.
Probably the last time he has cracked a smile since that moment, because then we get the single worst note ever in Eurovision history. What makes it even worse is that the note is supposed to be like a moment. The instruments literally pause for that note. It's really not hard to shit on everything about this performance, but genuinely, this is no shade to him. I'm sure he is a really nice guy, and he did end up talking about the crack, saying it was because of immense pressure from the competition. He said he was disappointed, but he is still proud of his overall performance, and honestly, he was in his early 20s, and the Eurovision stage is no joke, so it's hard to blame him. Also hard to blame him for changing his whole look shortly after Eurovision to be virtually unrecognizable. In 2012, Eurovision opened with one of the worst songs in the contest history, which likely tanked viewership at the start of the show, leading to the EBU scrapping random running orders the very next year. This is Montenegro and their entry, Euro Nero.
Euro, don't be skeptic, hermetic, pathetic, analphabetic, forget old cosmetic, you need new poetic.
The song intended to mock Europe's financial crisis and political dysfunction during this time, with Euro and Neuro combined in the title to suggest a neurotic and dysfunctional Europe. But in reality, the real dysfunction lied in the performance, with the message getting buried under a very messy delivery that most people didn't even get. For example, the donkey on stage was supposed to symbolize Balkan stubbornness and survival, and a nod to how smaller nations like Montenegro thrive amongst bigger powers. Who the F in Europe is supposed to get that from a donkey? The lyrics are also so lazy that yes, you can argue that they're kind of funny, but I'm 30 years old. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm gonna need a little bit more mental stimulation than Euro and Euro. I got no ambition for high position in competition with air condition. I'm tired. Frankly, I'm tired. The lyrics continue. Different mission, different school. I got only but one rule. Always stay cool. Like swimming pool. Really? Are we doing this? I mean, I don't think I have to really speak further on this. This is a disaster. It's not funny. The message was buried under so much. Most people didn't get it. And listen, you're supposed to appeal to the masses. At one point in the song, he's also like, I don't care about this competition. It's like, then get out. I'm sick. I don't care. I don't care. If you don't care about this competition, I love this competition. I don't want to see you. Give your position to someone else who wants to be here. If hostile aliens ever come to Earth and are complete assholes, this song will be the one to force them back to their own planet.
Love's not enough. I need your trust, but you don't try anymore.
Many Eurovision performances are famous for just how bad they were, but perhaps nothing lives in infamy for that reason even more than the UK's entry, Cry Baby. It hurt our ears so bad that we did Cry Baby.
Bye bye, baby. Lie to me, baby. Must have been crazy, baby. Bye bye.
Over the years, people have said that they were flat or they were sharp, but the problem really was that they were literally singing in a completely different key for the entirety of the performance. And at the time, the UK was extremely defensive and sensitive over this performance, as they got as many points in the competition as the number of notes that were on key, 0. There was tons of finger pointing and a lack of accountability on the UK's part, with their commentator Terry Wogan partly blaming their horrendous result on Europe's opposition to the UK's role in the Iraq War, which had just begun. What Terry failed to realize is that the UK's biggest crime that year wasn't the Iraq War, but was the war on 200 million people's eardrums. I'm kidding. Not a funny joke. Okay, can we just let's continue. On top of blaming politics, the performers also blamed technology, claiming that their in-ear monitors failed, so they couldn't even hear the backing track properly. And in their defense, other delegations reported minor sound glitches in Riga that year too. But while the BBC producers at the time acknowledged technical problems, even they implied that the group was inexperienced and didn't handle it well, failing to adapt at any moment. But the BBC has blood on their hands too, because let's be real, they approved every element of this performance, including the outfits, where they said, sure, let's make him dress like a UK fuckboy heading to a local pub, and let's give her a Donald Trump Oompa Loompa level looking fake tan and throw on a Vegas showgirl outfit on her as well. Disaster, like actual disaster. There has never been 2 more mismatched outfits on the Eurovision stage in history.
Do you think it will change the way that we do it, perhaps?
I think that Britain really does need to seriously look at how we choose the artists, because that was not a bad song, it was sung awfully. I mean, particularly the girl just was so out of tune. We have to have singers who can actually cut it live. That has got to be an absolute prerequisite for representing your country, really.
It's worth noting that after Eurovision, they were invited back on British television to prove that they can in fact perform the song live, and they absolutely nailed it. But also, how pathetic would it be to fumble so hard at the biggest international music competition only to be invited out on TV again just to prove that you're not the musical dumpster fire that 200 million people just witnessed a few days prior. It's giving Miss Teen South Carolina when she gave the dumbest answer ever on live TV, only to be brought back on daytime television to give a better answer. So we've talked about the Macedonian Spice Girls, let's now talk about the Israeli S Club 7, They Wish. This song was the first Eurovision song to be performed in the new millennium, and it was called Be Happy. And to many hardcore Eurovision fans like myself, this song works better to make me happy than any antidepressant on the market, period. Firstly, the performers look genuinely happy. This group 100% was on drugs during this performance, and no one can convince me otherwise. And I'm not saying this as a joke, I genuinely believe that they had to have taken some illicit substance before they got on stage, because hear me out. Before the music even starts, one of the members just wails in excitement. During the performance, they're jumping up and down for joy. They're playfully pulling out finger guns at each other like they're overexcited toddlers. At one point, one of the male singers is tickling the arm of the female singer. For God's sakes, like he's hallucinating. Do not tell me that these people were not either on cocaine, methamphetamine, ecstasy, I don't know, they are on something. And their energy is all at an 100, while the camera then pans to the audience, who looks like they have all died in their seats. Visually, it's a train wreck, and then lyrically we have lines that translates to, "Here comes a Sunday depression, I want a cucumber," which may or may not be a sexual innuendo. I don't know what to make of it. Musically, this thing is even worse though. If you ever want to get drunk really fast, put on this performance and take a shot each time that they're off key, because you will be drinking for 3 minutes straight. To make matters even worse, the melody has to be one of the worst things I've ever heard in my entire life, and that is the God's honest truth. It is so bad, in fact, that I am absolutely convinced that the writers did this intentionally. So yeah, SparksNote's version, the vocal melody often lands on tones outside of the key center. Normally in pop songs, the vocal melody and chords of the music kind of lock together so that your ears feel really settled. But here, the vocal melody includes notes that clash against the harmony underneath, which tricks your ear into thinking that the song is about to change key, but the backing track never moves with the vocals. This mismatch is what's making the song sound unstable, off-putting, sour, and amateurish. But I have to admit, I was debating even putting this song on the list because it has some incredibly redeeming elements. The performance made history for showcasing the first gay kiss at Eurovision at a time when homosexual PDA was illegal in some participating nations like Romania, and also even targeted through morality or public order laws in other countries like Cyprus, Russia, and Turkey. It's also important to note that this kiss existed at a time when not a single country in the contest, let alone the world, even recognized gay marriage. And if that wasn't daring enough, our hippy-dippy Israeli druggies also sang about love, love, peace, peace, and coexistence, with lyrics talking about a boy from a city in Syria who falls in love with a girl from Israel. Now for context, Israel and Syria were officially in a state of war at the time, with decades of hostility rooted in Syria's rejection of Israel as a whole and disputes over the Golan Heights. So these lyrics were deeply controversial to even many Israelis and certainly the Arab world. To make matters even worse, the band decided to shock the world by smuggling Syrian flags on stage and waving them alongside Israeli flags at the end of their performance while shouting peace. Israel's broadcaster knew the band's sentiments before the performance, and they even forced the act to partly finance their own participation. But the band Ping Pong waved their flags anyways, outraging Israeli officials and media, resulting in them being blacklisted and forcing their music careers to fizzle out forever. So yeah, not only a bad performance on the night, but also just a bad thing for many of their careers. Truly one of the worst songs, not only in Eurovision history, but just like in history ever of all time. It's just a disaster. How it didn't come last is a mystery to me. So yeah, that sums up the list. Those are the top 15 worst songs at the Eurovision Song Contest since the year 2000. Let me know which ones you agree with. Let me know which ones you disagree with. If there are certain ones that you think are missing from this list, definitely feel free to drop those in the comments. And of course, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I promise you more content will come your way. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.